Whispering Woods is headed in the right direction. Between breeding programs with other zoos, rescue initiatives with the Lemur Lifeline and Namibia Wildlife Shelter, and plenty of new infrastructure to support not only the animals but also the staff and guests, the Haven is thriving, making more money than it knows what to do with, and helping endangered species in the process. It's also been a year since the first Whispering Woods video on the channel, so we are celebrating. Today, admission to the Haven is half price, our steam train is completely free, and we have educators posted in various locations to help you learn more about the many species we keep here. It's a lovely, sunny day until... what's this? Genevieve and Arthur run into their youngest brother, Simon Joyce, who has come for a zoo tour. Having recently visited Silvercorp's headquarters, he wants to make up his own mind when it comes to taking sides in the family. Tristan and Xander Joyce did their best to convince him, yet there was something about Sylvester Kane that Simon didn't completely trust. But animal conservation stops for no one, and Jimena Alvarez with the protest group in South America is livid about how these animals are being treated in the face of Silvercorp's ever-expanding empire. Genevieve and the team have a whole pack of coyotes to her home, and they better make it quick. Welcome back to Whispering Woods Wildlife Haven. Hey everyone, Sparrow here. Welcome to the Season 2 finale of Whispering Woods. Yes, we are officially on episode 30, and I've been working on this zoo for exactly a year, which is kind of crazy to think about. If you're still here after all this time, thank you so much for your support, and if you're new here, welcome. I hope you stick around for a while. Today's episode will be slightly different than usual in that we'll be building for one of the animals from the New Americas pack, but we will also be taking breaks in between to tour everything that was built in Season 2, which includes Little Asia, the village, the desert house, and Madagascar. First though, let's get to building. I was planning on just making this a tour episode, but with the addition of some new animals, I knew I had to include one. Behind the desert house and sandcat, we'll be adding a pack of coyotes. They won't have a desert habitat per se, definitely more grassland and temperate, but there are some touches of foliage I'll talk about a little more later. We need to build the enclosure first, and these fences are heavily inspired by the jaguar fences Pachacamac built in a recent episode of his Eden Vault Zoo. Go check that series out, he's an amazing builder, and also I designed that logo, so you're indirectly supporting me by watching his series. You might be thinking that these fences are way too heavy duty for coyotes. Well, maybe not. Coyotes can clear 6-foot fences from standing, and they're smart and dexterous enough to get over fences that are even higher than that if there is no overhang. So yes, we'll be needing the T-Rex fences for the coyotes. At the top, I'm adding this cable piece for extra security. We will also be adding a thinner cable, this is the Zookeeper pack string piece, to create this angled overhang that will keep the coyotes from jumping up and escaping their enclosure. It's just a precaution, but I think these fences look great. I'll make 3 variations, one with the mesh, another with glass for the viewing areas, just quickly going to rejig it to fit the 3 panels, and also a piece without any barrier at all. Why? Well, you'll find out once we start putting the barriers in. We'll be starting our tour in Little Asia. So this is the first section of the zoo created in Season 2. Still very much in love with these lanterns by the amazing Mr. Gecko. This is our Himalayan-inspired gate that leads us directly into this open plaza with some amenities for our guests, as well as a quick view of a few of the different architectural styles we'll be seeing in this area. So first, let's head off to the left. Seems to be quite a popular area at the moment. To where we have the Palace's cat. This is the first enclosure I built for the Zookeeper pack, and I do believe we have some little ones in here as well. They are so cute. They do climb up onto those platforms once in a while. I love the aviary style of this enclosure, the fact that there's the 2 peaks to kind of symbolize the Himalayas. And then their backstage is in the Newar style of architecture, which is very prominent in Nepal. Heading over to the right, you can probably guess what we have in here. So the Takin and the Markhor as well. I love the way this turned out with the 3 tiers. We can see the Markhor up there. And then we have that mid-level with Pakistani architecture in the background. The Markhor is the national animal of Pakistan, so that is where that inspiration came from, as well as this lower level all the way down here that the animals sometimes like to traverse as well. From here, we can head into our Chinese garden. So Feng Liwei, our Chinese benefactor, wanted to make sure that a red panda was housed in a very nice location here at the zoo. So we are going to go check out the Red Panda Pagoda. There's also a very, very beautiful view out across the pond here. This garden is also full of blueprints, including these amazing bonsai trees and a bunch of different plants by the amazing Captain Callum, and many other plants off of the workshop, such as these alliums. After our quick walk through the Chinese garden, we make our way to the pagoda, where we can hopefully spot the red panda. Oh, I think he is taking a snooze right back there. There he is. Luckily has not had any escapes since our little freak out at the beginning of the season 2. As we exit the Chinese garden, we're going to take a left to go see the Asian water monitors. So the first viewing area are these small windows right at their rest area, so we can come up nice and close. The kids can kind of look through these windows that are at their height. And they do have a heating lamp there as well. Some nice scenery along the way as well. Another viewing window that shows off their feeding area. Oh, there goes the other one. And finally, their underwater viewing area. Not so much underwater, but sort of over top of the water. This is where they like to hang out the most, as the name suggests. Their backstage area is influenced by Thai architecture, especially those houses that are built on top of the water. And their pond actually flows underneath this staff bridge all the way into the otter and binturong habitat. But before we get over there, we do have one more enclosure along the way, and that is the lar gibbon. You can see it over there. Here we just have a staff area. We'll peek in very carefully. Nothing too crazy, just all of the staff buildings necessary, seeing as we are in challenge mode. And here we have our first viewing area for the lar gibbon. Nice open enclosure with plenty of climbing for them. And we do have another viewing area up here, which is not accessible to guests from Little Asia, though it is accessible from the top. So we're just going to climb up these stairs. Nice view from here too. Into the gibbon treehouse. So it is accessible through here. That leads to the Madagascar area. And as you can see, there are people up here looking down on the gibbons. Plenty of workshop items in here as well by the amazing Mr. Gecko. Right there. And also up there. And suitcases over here as well. Just very much like a treehouse you might find in like Tarzan or whatever adventure book you're reading. Back on the main path, we can get another good look at the gibbon from down here, provided we can push through this insane crowd. Never seen so many people here. And there they are. There are only 3 of them in here, though I do know that one of the females is pregnant, so we should have some little lars in here very, very soon. And finally, we have our binturong and otter habitat. Here we have a view of the otters. Sometimes you can see them swimming about as well. They do have some little shelters. And a Cambodian temple viewing area all the way over there. So that is the Khmer style of architecture versus the new Khmer style These are the more modern buildings that you will see in Cambodia nowadays. Love the Binturong overpass as well. Binturongs have access to both the otter side as well as their own personal area over here. And here we go. So they have their own shelter, some more climbing, nice tower. There's a small gift shop in the Little Asia area as well. We have some stone statues of the otters over here. Those are lit up quite nicely once it gets dark. And our final viewing area for Little Asia inside of this Cambodian temple gives us a very beautiful view of not only the otter and Binturong enclosure, but also quite a bit of the architecture throughout this area. We've got our barriers built, so it's time to outline the enclosure. Lots of painstaking work here to make sure everything is lined up perfectly, kept angle rotation on just to make it easier. Lots of fun curved shapes to mimic some of the curved pieces on the Sandcat building, which we are basically building around. 2 viewing areas in this semicircle over here, which we will use the glass pieces for and eventually add some shade structures to. And once I'm happy with the shape of the enclosure, I'm going to use the in-game corrugated barriers inside of the blank barriers we created earlier. This corrugated barrier is about half as thick as the corrugated pieces we have in-game and just fits into the beams so much better. Still lots of shifting posts around to make sure the barriers fit in, but I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Left a space at the back here for a small backstage building. This will just be a single room that will also allow the Coyotes to enter a separation pen just behind the barrier. You can see me outlining it now. Detailing up the interior a bit with a concrete floor for easy cleaning, some metal beams around the doorways and on the ceiling to hold up our light fixtures, shelves on the staff side of things, and finally a quick and easy roof. This building was not quite on the grid, but luckily I was still able to use the grid pieces to make the roof work. Now back to the tour. As we make our way out of Little Asia, we see the rest of Predator Ridge. So this would have been built in Season 1. We are walking past it, so might as well take a quick look at the lynx and the wolverine. And from there, we're going to walk up this hill and find our wild boar habitat. Very rocky, lots of fallen trees. Love watching them play with their mud bath. And then we happen upon our reindeer enclosure where you can purchase some reindeer feed and then go and interact with the reindeer so long as they're in this first area, this corral, and not in their enclosure beyond. So this is where educators would maybe host a talk while people are feeding the reindeer, but otherwise the reindeer would be separated over there on the other side of the fence. Fun little view into Little Asia from up here as well. And they have another separation zone in the back of their enclosure too. Next stop, the fox and the badger were added in Season 1, but again, we're passing by, so we might as well take a look. Up ahead is our fox enclosure. Plenty of adorable foxes in here. On the other side of the pathway, we have our old mill, and this is where our badgers are kept. They do have a nice burrow under this big tree. And here we can see the windmill in the background. Still one of my favorite things here are these topiary animals. Can you find us? So all 5 of these are somewhere in this enclosure. Always fun to try to spot them. From here we have some guest amenities, and that is the village at Whispering Woods. This was created for our Christmas episode, but obviously during the summer it's not all decked out with Christmas decor. We do still have this beautiful tree in the center, and then plenty of vendor stalls all around for all of our guest needs. Finally, right outside the village, we have Wallaby Way, which is a walkthrough for our wallabies, in case the name did not give that away. Here we can walk through the grasslands and see if we can spot some wallabies. Maybe pet them if they're feeling up to it, but of course we want to respect the animal's space. There's their feeding area. Lots of little ones in here too. Some more shaded areas for them to hang out in, away from prying eyes. Hello. And then once we're out on the other side, we have our secondary train station, which can transport guests over from the petting zoo just beyond here, all the way to our next section. It's time to make this enclosure a real home for the coyotes. I didn't actually get the pack until yesterday because I was hoping to get a key from Frontier. Frontier, please notice me. So I used the dingo filter for enrichment items, as the coyotes can basically use all of the same ones. Some of the things I was most excited to use were the beaver pool and the tug rope. Both have super cute animations for the dingoes, and I'm sure for the coyotes as well. Doing a lot of my rock placement while looking through the viewing windows to make sure I'm not covering up elements I want guests to see, or conversely covering up what I don't want them to see from that angle. The tug rope will be slightly elevated in front of one viewing window, and that will cover up the beaver pool nicely so that you can only see it from the other viewing window. Behind the pool, I'm building up a rock structure that the coyotes will hopefully be able to jump up onto so you can see them from wherever you like. Really playing around with the rock textures, sometimes I go through 3 or 4 different rocks before I find one that I think fits in. That or rotating it every which way works as well. When it comes to foliage, we're going for a drier feel, but I will put in a beech tree so the enclosure feels connected to the rest of the zoo, as well as lots of dead or fallen trees. Plants such as century plants and dry creosote bring to mind a warmer climate, as do these cacti. I did some research, and prickly pear is one of the few species of cactus you can keep outdoors in the UK. In fact, we have prickly pear in Canada too. Some final fallen logs, the white birch, will do nicely here. And then it's time to get the dry buffalo grass down around each planted segment, while leaving some nice trails for our coyotes to walk on. I did also sink some faux rocks into the ground to add more texture to the dirt, but that's something I do every time, so you probably don't need to see it again. The enclosure looks nearly finished, so while I do a few things off camera, let's complete the final leg of our tour. Desert Wonders leads us directly to that big desert house over there, but first let's check out the camels that are kind of the entrance animal to this section. So up this boardwalk we get to see their first paddock. I believe all 4 of the females are pregnant, so there will be plenty of little camels in here soon. A little bit of a block in sight lines as we go to the second part of the enclosure, where we can see the remainder of our camels. They are all different colors, which is quite nice, and it makes them easier to tell apart as well. I like how sandy and open this enclosure is. Still feels kind of temperate because we are in the UK, so it can't be completely desert-like. On the other side of the boardwalk, we have one more animal to visit before we head in, and that is the prairie dog. We have a small town in here. A very small, simple backstage as well, because this was sort of a shoehorned habitat. It just happened to have some space in here and thought, hey, we can probably fit another animal, and the prairie dogs just fit. Finally, we have our zebras, so they have 2 viewing areas as well. This is the main one for the male yard. Right now they are being mixed so that we can breed them, but the idea is that the male would be on this side, and he only has access to the female yard through this sort of corral, as well as a gate back there if need be. Looks like all three of them are over on the other side right now, so let's go take a look. Here is the second viewing area. So down this way we have our educational talk with lots of educational seating as well. But you can always come over here just to take a look at this yard. Oh, and as we head over here, it looks like the zebras are going over to the second part of their habitat. It's finally time to enter the Achebe Desert House, so here we go. Inside there's plenty of light to give it that desert feel. Lots of desert plants, including these cacti wall pieces. I thought those were really cute. Our first stop is this three-tiered habitat. In the first one down below we have the African spurred tortoise. Right above them you can see some of the dik-diks through the barriers. And then at the very, very top we have fennec foxes, which are harder to spot, but they are visible once in a while. Over on the right we have one more viewing area into the camel enclosure. Here we can come up nice and close to them, and we can also see through that archway that leads into their second paddock. Right behind that is our secondary train station as well. Meanwhile, on the opposite side, we have our armadillo enclosure. Nice and small, just a single armadillo, and there she is. And behind her, we have the Atacama Desert with our collared peccaries. Some educational things with our rock tortoise, and another view into our African spurred tortoise enclosure as well. I like that you can see the dik-diks from basically everywhere. This is probably the easiest place to spot the fennec foxes, provided they're up on those rocks right above. And again, on the other side, we can just keep bouncing back and forth in this house. We have some African crested porcupines and our meerkats. Another more open viewing area here. We can see our baby porcupine and some of our baby meerkats as well. I tried making most of these habitats very different, so this one has that rocky backdrop. We have our Atacama Desert for South America, and then for Africa we have that beautiful sunset mural behind the fennec foxes. Might be able to take a peek at the dik-diks here one more time. And our fennec foxes appear to be MIA, so here's a nice cinematic of them instead. One last animal that we absolutely can't forget before we leave the desert house is the sacred scarab beetle. And we are finally exiting the desert house, but we are not quite done with the desert area just yet. So these fences here are very new, as you would have noticed throughout this episode. But up ahead we do have the realm of the sand cat. This building houses just one sand cat, but I think it turned out really, really well. And there she is, using her climbing. I love how deserty this turned out with some of those themed elements like the fountain in the background, and then we also have her little den that we can peek into on the side. But we can also walk through this segment, so let's go take a peek. If she comes up right to the window, it's quite close up. And finally, the moment you've probably all been waiting for, the reveal of our newest animal at Whispering Woods. I love the way these guys turned out. The fur markings are so beautiful. Their animations are really, really pretty. Our secondary viewing area is a little bit further removed, but provided the coyotes are comfortable coming right up to the glass, I'm sure we'll get some beautiful shots of them up here as well. From here we have one final section to check out, and that is the Madagascar area. So here is our Fusa enclosure with a lovely modern fountain, lots of tropical trees in here, and some covered viewing areas. That's one side of their enclosure. Here is staff access, and then here is the other side of their enclosure. Coming back to the main path, we have the staff center on our right, the village up ahead, and then back there we have our zebras and coyotes. This is the backstage of the reindeer grotto, as well as their separation pen. And up ahead is the lemur house. So the lemur house has two species of lemur in it, the black and white ruffed lemur and the ring-tailed lemur, as well as a single Aldabra tortoise who really loves to hang out outdoors. Leaping Lemur Outpost, which is a fun little seating area with some food and drink. Opposite that are some more viewing windows into their interior. Here's our Aldabra tortoise. The lemurs love to jump around on all of these climbing platforms. And the lemurs do also have access to a secondary enclosure across the way here. And the final animal of our tour today, this is an Asian animal that didn't quite make it into Little Asia, but I did want to have it at Whispering Woods, and that is the Chinese pangolin. They have a relatively small enclosure, but I think this is a very nice tropical segue into the next section, which will also be far more tropical. And that is going to be where we pick up next time in Season 3. So remember to subscribe if you haven't already to get notified of the next Whispering Woods upload. And while you're down there, make sure to like this video and leave me a comment about which Season 2 section you loved the most. Little Asia, the village, the desert house, or Madagascar. And hey, maybe you have some predictions for Season 3, which I would also love to hear. If you're willing to support me a little bit extra, you can also join The Nest as a channel member by hitting the join button and have your name featured here in the zoo. See you next time. Bye.